Darth Vader 2017, Episode 2. Comic book review, the sequel to the prequels. I am not a Jedi. I have no limits. Darth Vader. Now, the 2017 Darth Vader comic series continued with issue 2. The credits have barely rolled on episode 3 as the galaxy fell under the domain of the Empire. Now, when we last left the newly minted Lord Vader, he had been ordered to seek out a Kyber crystal by his master Darth Sidious. After his recent battle with Obi-Wan Kenobi, the artist formerly known as Anakin was left missing arms, legs, and of course, a lightsaber. He would need the crystal to construct a new one. Now, Kyber crystals, however, have become a rare commodity in the galaxy. Order 66 had been terrifyingly efficient in wiping out the Jedi. However, the new heavy-breathing Sith Lord must find a surviving Jedi and take his or her crystal. Now, this issue featured the first battle for Darth Vader in his armor. Now, Vader is my favorite Star Wars character, and I'm glad the powers that be chose to explore this point in his journey. Now, unlike the established Vader of the 2015 comic series, here it felt like he is moving through a dark side puberty. He just shed the trappings of his Jedihood, yet he is not fully Sith. The wounds are also still fresh from losing his secret wife, Padme. Now, in this issue, he took out some of his frustrations on his fellow comrades in arms, the clone troopers. Now, the issue began with Vader. He's piloting his foreboding ship towards the Mid-Rim, and there he arrived at a Jedi outpost. Now, the space station resembled a floating temple in the cosmos known as Brightholm. Now, there was an amusing opening with bored clone troopers playing with Jedi lightsabers. They were ordered to archive and inventory the Jedi's belongings and deliver them to Coruscant. Now, the clones find this to be tedious work as they played with lightsabers like cosplayers at a convention. Hey, look at me! I'm a Jedi! And I loved how the clones were drawn in a casual, almost mundane manner. It reminded me of when we caught snippets of conversation between stormtroopers in Episode 4 on the Death Star, and the clones also expressed concern that they would soon be rendered obsolete. One said, "I heard they shut down the facilities on Kamino. They'll train up the last batch of clones and that's it. I think our fighting days are done." In addition to exploring the adventures of Vader immediately after Revenge of the Sith, the series also is shaping up to be a true sequel to the prequels. The background art on Brightholm provided excellent images of Jedi Swag with a variety of robes on display, lightsabers, and holocrons. Now, I wondered who was in charge of the Jedi tailoring. Is this a position in the Order, or do they subcontract it to droids or the temple workers like we saw in the Clone Wars TV series? Now, the clones also expressed an ambition to put on the red armor and serve as guards to Palpatine himself. Now, in the new Empire, this would be the highest honor a trooper could obtain. I suppose it would be the equivalent to serving in the Secret Service and guarding the president in America. But the clones soon realized their chance to prove themselves when an unidentified ship arrived on their scanners. Vader approached Brightholm in his newly liberated ship. His droid kindly offered to transmit the proper clearance codes so that he would not be seen as a hostile and could land without incident. Vader opted to forego the codes. The iconic villain entered with explosive and deadly intent. He quickly proved that even with his injuries, he was still the greatest star pilot in the galaxy. He easily eliminated the clone starfighters and moved on to the hangar. And this marked the first canonical fight for Darth Vader in his armor. Now, like many beta testings, the armor was not immediately user-friendly. It was clear that Vader was still getting used to his new body in the battle between the clone troopers and the hangar. He arrived with a glaring hole in one of his robot legs. And Vader was also suffering from the lack of a lightsaber. Now, luckily, he happened to be fighting in a facility that was stocked with them. He took a green saber from the wall, and it was with a hilt that resembled one of the stock props used by many of the prequel Jedi. It resembled the one used by Mace Windu in Episode 1, Eth Koth, and Plo Koon. And it was strange to see Vader with a green lightsaber. It was also unusual to see the unstoppable Sith Lord overwhelmed in a fight. Now, it shouldn't be a huge surprise. The clones were battle-hardened veterans. Vader was fresh off his Mustafar accident and still getting used to his robotic prosthesis. Now, with a saber in his metal hands, however, Vader became unstoppable. After the fight, he discarded the borrowed weapon of the Jedi. It would not suit his purposes. His orders were clear that he had to take a saber from a Jedi in combat to fulfill the requirements of his Sith trial, which in the last issue I wondered why Sindralig's saber wouldn't have served that purpose. It was right there in the temple. But as it turned out, finding a Jedi was the purpose of his visit. After a cathartic release of anger and slaughtering his former allies, Vader used his droid to access the archives of the facility. Now, he requested a very specific search for a term new to fans of Jedi lore. He said, "I require data on any Jedi who took the Barasch Vow prior to the Purge." Now, this sounded alien to me. Fortunately, Vader provided exposition. A Jedi pursuing a Barasch Vow had sworn to refrain from participating in the normal order routines. It was like a religious pilgrimage or long-term fasting. Now, they seem to me to be the most pious of the Jedi. They may still be alive because they would have been far removed from the events of politics, diplomacy, and most importantly, war. Now, Vader plainly stated the Barasch takers would have felt the purge, but their oaths would preclude them from taking action of any kind. This would leave one of the Barasch takers as a prime candidate for Vader to seek out for a duel. The Force, or plot, was with Vader. The droid located a suitable candidate with a name I'll never be able to pronounce. He said, "He is unique even for a Jedi. His name is Kirak Insula. It has been many years since he has been active in Jedi affairs. Apparently, Master Insula has precisely one purpose within the Order: to fight." Well, how convenient. Then we see a bit of art that felt like a fan service, but it definitely got the message across. Master Insula was drawn like a Jedi version of the martial arts master Padme from Kill Bill. I was very curious where he received the long scars running across his chest. My first thought was that it was the result of a lightsaber duel, so he's got experience. The illustrators did an excellent job teasing the eyes with visions of Star Wars past and more questions for the future. Well, this issue was meant to depict Vader's brash newness in his role in the armor and as the Sith apprentice to Palpatine. Now, in that manner, the artist somehow drew the iconic helmet in a way that made the villain appear younger and less experienced than in the Empire era. This was accomplished with subtle angling of the helmet's shroud. It appeared less V-shaped and thus not as masculine. He's not an Anakin, though not yet a Vader, but he's well on his way. We know he will survive the fight with Master Insula, but the battle-hardened Jedi Master of the Barasch will not be a pushover. The single panel that featured his meditating visage told that story excellently. Well, I'm still loving this sequel to the prequels. I can't wait for more in the next issue. I give Darth Vader issue 2 a 10 out of 10. Now, check me out on social media at JSandlinWriter. Follow me on Twitter. Check me out on Amazon, my book Outbreak Mutiny, Alternate History with Superheroes. It's available now for 99 cents an ebook and in paperback as well.